Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we are counting down our top 10 favorite obscure games. We thought this would be a fun thing to do because every once in a while you realize that a game you really love is something that no one has ever heard of except for you and the people you play with. And that can be very amusing. So to judge how obscure these were, we based it on the number of ratings that each of these games had, and they had to be games we still loved. And but the number of ratings they had on Board Game Geek, because if they didn't have a lot of ratings, we figure they're pretty obscure. Most people haven't heard of them. I also had some other rather arbitrary things, like if I had multiple games by the same designer, I might have knocked one of them off the list just so I didn't have the list all filled up with one designer. That was just for variety's sake, really. But other than that, I stuck to all games that had less than 100 ratings.
Mine are less than 500 ratings.
Okay, so yours might not be quite as obscure as mine.
Most of them are, I have like one that's like a smidge under 500, but then like the rest are pretty low.
Oh, okay. So actually, most of them are probably...
Yeah.
Like, when you say pretty low, you mean like under 200 or under 100, like for the rest of them? What do you think?
Between... Under 2.
Under 2? Okay, yeah. So that's not that far off from me for the most part. You have to let me know. Well, we're gonna tell you how many ratings they have. I've got a surprise for my number 1, which I think is pretty funny. We'll get to that. We'll get to that momentarily.
It has 0 ratings.
I'm not going to tell you yet. Okay, but without any. Well, first off, I forgot to mention. Would you like to go first or second on this?
I'll
list?
go first.
You want to go first?
Yeah.
All right. So without any further ado, I think we're going to get to our number 10s. Number 10.
So my number 10 has 285 ratings.
That's a lot.
It is Halloween.
It's a great game. Absolutely great game. I love that game.
Yeah, you're like a ghost, and you're trying to like mess with people on Halloween.
Yeah, you're weird. Like you're haunting areas. It's got like. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. You're going around and scaring people and using different like worker placement mechanics as well as area control mechanics. It's very odd, but it's a really fun little game. And you try to summon bigger and better ghosts. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. It wouldn't have made my list because there's too many ratings. Because everything on mine is under 100.
Okay.
Okay. So my number 10 has 12 ratings. It's going to be one of those. All right, and it is Battle Bosses. I love this game. So I was given some to review by the company. I don't know why this game isn't more well-known because it's a lot of fun. One of my favorite things about this game is that to play it, you buy 2 battle bosses to start with. And each player needs their own battle boss, and then you play out like a very light, like area control battle strategy with these giant monster battle bosses. Some of them are like kaiju, some are like giant monsters, some are like fantasy creatures like an orc, and they always have minions and stuff, and you move around the board and use also cards. There are cards you use to try to fight. I did a full review and tutorial of it if you'd like to check that out. You use the board pieces from the 2 boxes you purchased to make the board. You move around on the board with your giant monster and your minions, and you try to win the game. It's got dice rolling, it's got hand management, it's got a lot of really cool mechanics that people tend to like, and I really enjoy. And again, is why I'm not really sure why this game is not better known. But that is my number 10, and that is Battle Bosses. Number 9.
Okay, my number 9 has 122 ratings.
So many.
It is Gothic Doctor.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. I like that game.
So you are a doctor, and you are treating like the Gothic universal monsters of their ailments. So like if Dracula comes in, you have to give him like a tooth extraction and like garlic tonic,
A garlic injection or
I
something.
I don't
I don't
remember
remember
them.
exactly. Yeah.
And then you have like werewolves and
There'll be
oh
generic monsters, but then there'll also be specific monsters. So there'll be vampires, and then there'll be Dracula. There'll be werewolves, and then
yeah,
there
and
might...
it's like you have a handful of the antidotes basically,
Yeah.
and you have to be able. And there's like a waiting room of just all the face up cards. So and
Yeah.
on your turn, you're just like you take the cards from your hand and you say you can cure this specific
Patient.
monster patient.
And if you cure one of the patients, you get their card and they're worth points. Really cool game. That was actually like I think way back when. Don't go watch it, but it was one of the first reviews we ever did on the channel. They're really poor quality back then. Our reviews, the sound was awful and all. But yeah, no, that's a really fun game. Definitely. Anything else you wanted to say on Gothic Doctor?
No.
My number 9 is Wolfwalker's My Story, which has only 52 ratings. I should have said the ratings first. But yeah, Wolfwalker's My Story is a fantastic little pattern-forming card game. It's a heads-up game. It's one-on-one. It's very enjoyable. You draft cards to be able to play them into your form. And you're trying to build a form which it is based on an animated movie of the same name of Wolfwalkers. And you're playing cards that have symbols on them and other cards that are goals. And the goal card will be like, it succeeds if this symbol is here from it and there, and it's all situational awareness. It's like okay, so the card is there and it says if it it gets points for every one of this symbol that's straight north of it and east and west of it, and you're trying to get cards with those symbols around whatever the pattern is, or it might be a specific pattern that appears anywhere within your grid. And it's a ton of fun. It's super enjoyable. And again, it's another one of those where both in the case of the movie and the game, I think it's criminal how few people are aware of both of them. Because I actually had a lot of conversations with people who aren't even aware of the movie also. The movie is great. The game is great. So check out the movie and play the game. Number 8.
My number 8 has 78 ratings, and it is Samurai Jack Back to the Past, I think is the subtitle.
I didn't even know this was obscure, but yeah, this is a great game.
Yeah, you're like on a path. It's like it's like a time path, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to, and it's cooperative.
Semi-cooperative.
Semi-cooperative.
Yeah.
You and the other players are trying to get along this path, and then at the end you have to like fight.
Well, it's weird because like the bad guy is following you, and you what's the name of the bad guy? Do you remember from the show? Because it's the same.
If I hear it, I know.
It's like Aku or.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right? Maybe.
I think it is. Yeah.
So and you're trying to get along the path, and it's weird because like you're pressing your luck because you don't want to go too far ahead, but you also kind of want to be ahead because you're trying to fulfill certain goals and be ready for the final fight. And it's like. The thing is, the reason it's semi-cooperative is there is a winner. Whoever does, as long as you defeat the villain, whoever does the best is the winner. But if none of you defeat the villain, if the villain defeats everyone, then everyone loses. So it's really neat. And the little miniatures of all the characters from the cartoon show are awesome. I didn't even think of this one. It is a good one. That is a good pick, Lynn. Very good pick. Samurai Jack. Well done. All right. My number 8 is a tiny little card game with 12 ratings. It is Varia. Now, this is a card game where you play out like a fight. It's kind of like Alex and I did a review tutorial for this one, and it's sort of like somebody took, the old 90s fighting games and turned them into a card game. It's really cool because the cards you do are moves, and then the other person gets a chance to do a counter or a block to your move, which then lets them counter you and hit you, and it's incredibly dynamic. You plan out cards and you do reactions, and it's a ton of fun, and the back and forth flow and the incredibly reactive nature of it makes this game absolutely awesome. Number 7.
My number 7 has 124 ratings, and it is 1750 Britain versus France.
I almost put this on my list
Oh,
and
is
then
it too
didn't because
high?
it had too many. It had too many ratings. It had too many ratings. But I love this game. I love this, and I love that this made your list.
I went through so many games that I thought would have, and I was like 3,300 ratings, and I was like, well, that's not obscure.
So why don't you talk about 1750 Britain versus France?
So it is a card game
Mm-hmm.
where you basically, you put out the different areas in the Caribbean.
Well, there's Caribbean, North America, India, and Africa. It's the different colonial regions. Yeah.
And you sail between them. You collect people and materials, and cargo.
You colonize when you colonize a place and you take control over it. You get the trade route for whatever materials are for that place, and having sets of different trade routes let you earn money to hire soldiers and generals to fight. Basically, you're fighting the colonial wars out between England and France.
Yeah, and you can get like help from like the King of Sweden.
Oh yeah, that's a fun part of the game.
Or like there's like indigenous tribes
Chief Joseph
that you can get help from.
I think Chief Joseph is the one Native American leader that you can get aid from. There's a lot of European kings that were not involved that you can get aid from. That game is so good.
I just remember the King of Sweden like gives you lumber.
Yes,
like,
which is the only way to get lumber.
I don't know why that just like sticks in my brain.
That's right, and it's like the only way to get lumber in the whole game.
Yeah.
Which makes it like super rare. Like you got to get the King of Sweden on your side. It gives you a trade contract for lumber. So is that it for your number 7?
Yeah.
All right. So my number 7 is a game with only 33 ratings. Why are you giving me a dirty look? Because I got less ratings than you on every one of these. It is Radioactive Bees. This is a bizarre tile stacking game, I guess you would call it, where you are placing these tiles and stacks and trying to putting your own symbols down to try to have your stack. You're trying to strategically keep your symbols uncovered so they keep getting more rings on them, because the more rings, the more valuable they are going to be and the more points you're going to get. You play over multiple rounds, and basically you want to strategically situate the Tetrisy pieces so that your opponent can't cover your pieces, because if they can't cover your pieces, they get more rings, and more radiation rings are worth more points. It's a kind of an abstract stacking tiling game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I guess.
It's a very odd, unique play style, and it's really cool, and I think more people need to discover it.
Okay.
Do you agree? You said you liked it when we played it.
Okay.
Oh, all right, fine.
Number 6.
My number 6 has 385 ratings.
So many.
It is Dark Domains.
Oh, that's a good game. That's a good game.
So it is a worker placement game where you are necromancers trying to take over the area. You have a little player board that you put stuff on, and there's like a giant board where you place. I almost said like where you work your placements.
So, there's a big worker placement board, and then there's a little board where you like build you
build your town.
You build a town. Yeah. So there's some town building also, and the worker placement plays a lot like old school worker placement games like Pillars of the Earth. Game is a lot of fun. Very enjoyable. Anything else you want to say on?
No, we haven't played in a while, so it's fuzzy.
We got to get to the table again. That is a really good game. My number 6 is a little shameful for me because it has the highest number of ratings of anything on my list, with a grand total of 71 ratings. It got kind of close to that 100 there. It's a little shameful, but it is Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle, because I love this game. It is so much fun. It is this weird game of tile placement and positional strategy where you have this hand of treasure hunters that all have different abilities, and you take turns playing them out to try to collect the treasures in the Secret Sky Castle. You play them in different areas, but other players will then get to the other player. It's a 2-player game. The other player will get to play something else that might contradict what you just played. Might be able to steal something out from under you, because they all have initiative on them. They're going to wind up going initiative order. If you play something and it's obvious what you're going for, your opponent might be able to play something with a higher initiative that's going to get to steal it from you. There's also certain cards that they can play on top of one of your cards that literally block them from being able to do anything until your card activates. This game is a lot of fun, and then it does a lot of set collecting, a lot of hand management, a little bit of bluffing. Really, really fun game. Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. I love this one, and it is my number 6. Anything you want to say on that one?
Is this the one where you gotta collect keys to open things?
Yes, to open the chest.
Okay,
Yeah. You like this one?
Yeah, I think I bought this.
It was
and
your purchase.
You ended up liking it more than I did.
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved this game. This was one of you bought this one at like Gen Con one year because you thought it looked really cool, and then I fell in love with this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you liked it, but I loved it. Yeah.
Number 5.
Okay, my number 5 has the least amount of ratings on my list. A whopping 13 ratings.
Wow, I beat that several times.
It is Flags of the World.
This made it this high?
I love Flags of the World. Just no one else loves it. So, in Flags of the World, you are showing everyone else how much you know different flags. Everybody has a little board in front of them with 4 flags, and what you do is you know yours because they're in front of you, but you say like that flag, that's Panama, and then they're like, oh yes, that is Panama, and you get the flag, and then you have to put it under your board. There's different sections for like North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Oceania.
Mm-hmm. Africa.
And then at the end of the game,
you forgot if you get it on your first guess, there's a bunch of cards that you did not use for this game off to the side, and you grab 2 of them without looking at what they are. You have to try to and they're bonus points. Try to put them in the right region.
Yes.
If you miss, your opponent gets to read a hint, and if you get it after that, you get 1 bonus point. If you don't, they read a second hint, and if you get it after that, you only get the actual card.
Because the cards have, on one side is just the flag, and on the other side is what country it is and the 2 hints. So when you get the bonus cards, they're flag side up. You just take them and you put them where you think they belong. And I love this game, and I do get people to play it quite frequently, but no one else enjoys it.
Done?
Do you have anything to say about Flags of the World?
Nothing good. I've played it a lot.
But now you know what the flag of Cape Verde looks like.
I do know what the flag of Cape Verde, and it has no green in it. It's so weird. Why is there no green in the flag of a country called Cape Verde? It's got Verde. Verde means green. Okay, yes. Moving on. What number was that?
It was 5.
5? Okay. My number 5 favorite obscure game is a game with only 38 ratings. It is Sovereign Chess. Now, this is a chess variant with a much larger board. The board is set up where you and your opponent have the full set of chess pieces on your side of the board each. And then there are small groups of chess pieces around the board of many other colors, and there's squares on the board of the various colors. If you land one of your pieces on a square of a color, you're able to now move the pieces of that color. But if you leave it, you lose control of those pieces, and if your opponent captures your piece there and leaves their piece on it, they gain control of those pieces. So it becomes this interesting, like, bigger game of chess with area control, and it's super interesting and super weird, and it's pretty obscure, but I like it a lot. It's a really cool chess variant, and it's why it made it down to my number 5 favorite obscure game. I don't believe you've tried this one.
No, I have not.
Okay.
Number 4.
My number 4 has 129 ratings.
Too many.
It is Death Note Confrontation.
That's a great game. I'm surprised it had so few ratings, actually, considering how great that game is and how big that IP is.
Yeah, I all the ones that like have a IP, I was like, at first I was like, oh, I'm not even gonna bother looking them up, and then I was getting desperate, and I was like, all these ones with IPs have like no ratings.
It's so weird too, because like that's such a big IP. People love Death Note, How did not more Death Note fans try Death Note Confrontation? That's really strange.
I don't know. It's a two-player game,
Yeah.
and one of you is the serial killer going around serial killing,
Kira.
and the other one is a detective trying to
L.
find the serial killer. I've never watched it. I just like the game.
I've seen every episode and the live action movies. The original Japanese ones, that is. Did not watch the American one. I heard it was terrible. But anyway, it plays like a cross between like
Battleship?
Clue and Battleship, but
Yeah.
done right, where you're giving hints about which murderer you might be.
There's a grid
Yeah.
where you have to say like you have to pick that like you've killed someone there, but you don't say obviously.
It's constant giving of hints and reading of hints.
Mm-hmm.
The L has to figure out which one of the suspects Kira really is, while Kira has to succeed at a certain number of murders without L catching them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really brilliantly done for an asymmetrical game, and it's absolutely fantastic. And there's 2 levels of play. Like, there's an easy level and a hard level in the box. Really well done game. Absolutely great. Probably one of my favorite deduction games ever.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make my list because it had over 100 ratings. But I'm surprised it actually had so few. I didn't even look at it because I'm like, oh, that's going to have too many. There's no way. I'm really surprised it had as few as it did. My number 4 has 69 ratings, making it my second highest number of ratings of a game on my list. And it is a little independently published game. There is a version that is made with 3D printed components and boards, and there is another version, another couple of versions that were made over on the Game Crafter, and it is Nexus. Each different version has a different theme. The original is Nexus Man of War, which is done as a naval ship type theme. The other versions, there's one with pizza theme to be kind of family friendly, and there's one with a Viking theme. But in the case of all of them, they are an abstract strategy game moving around on hex boards, where your pieces have very specific sides out of which they can move and very specific distances they can move, and then very specific kind of diagonal jumping ways that they can attack. So it's very positional strategy, but you don't win by defeating opponents' pieces. You win by taking territory in your opponent's board, because you play with these multiple big hex-size boards. If you're playing 2 players, 2 boards, and you want to get your pieces into your opponent's territory, and then you own the territory that the piece is on. Any territory that you can draw a straight line back to your own board that's uninterrupted by opponent's pieces you own, and any straight lines within your opponent's territory drawn to another of your own pieces there you own, and you want to get over a certain number of amount of territory to win the game. It's super brilliantly designed, super fun, and still pretty freaking obscure. Not the most obscure game on the list, but it should be more well known for how interesting this design is. And that is why Nexus is my number 4.
Number 3.
My number 3 has the most ratings out of all my
How
list.
many?
453.
That's not obscure. 453?
It's less than 500, which was my self-imposed.
Okay, go on. What is
It is Dastardly Dirigibles.
That's a fun game.
So you are trying to build a dirigible. So it's got hand management
And card drafting.
and card drafting and
Set collecting.
yeah, set collecting. You have a mat in front of you with different sections of the dirigible, and you have to put down the cards in your hand to basically make a dirigible.
Yes, and if you can make it with a lot of the same suit of cards, you can get a lot of points. But then there's also the way to do a muddle where you get every card is a different suit, and you can get like a ton of points that way.
I think it's like flat 20 points for that.
Yeah, which gets you a ton of points. Yeah, no, that game is a lot of fun. I definitely think it's a really good game. I don't think it's obscure enough, but it's definitely a really cool game. That was your number 3? My number 3, with a grand total of 7 ratings on Board Game Geek, is a game that you know and may be upset that you forgot to put on this list.
I probably didn't think it was obscure.
It's very obscure.
Okay.
It is Return to Camelot.
Oh.
And you love that game, so that's why I'm surprised. It's not even in print anymore. This is a game designed by friend of the channel, Marcello Bertocci. It was published by Nestor Games. It is an incredibly fun hidden piece game, but with like jumping for capturing, so it's really interesting. You have hidden pieces and you have a basic move they can all do, but then a lot of them can reveal what they are to do special moves and attacks, and you're trying to jump over your opponent's pieces to catch them. And what you want to do is either maneuver your king to one of your opponent's back corner spaces to win, or move any two pieces to both back corner spaces to win, or capture your opponent's king to win. So it's got, in addition to having a lot of cool mechanics, it's also got 3 ways to win, which is really awesome. This is a really fun game, and I really do hope they get it back in print at some point. I keep telling Marcello, especially since he does work for his own company, that he should get it back in print himself, because the game is a lot of fun, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And now, since it probably didn't make your list, is there anything you want to say about Return to Camelot? Because I know you like this game.
No, it's fun.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2.
Okay, my number 2 has 108 ratings.
Not bad.
It is Mystery Motive for Murder.
Okay.
It
was only in print for a little while, I think, because it was towards the end of Mayfair being a thing.
Okay.
So I think that's why it's another official IP game too.
Yeah.
Because it's based on the old Masterpiece Mystery.
Yeah. So you have one tile. It's a tile laying game.
Mm-hmm.
You have one tile in the middle that's the murdered.
The murder victim.
And you have to place tiles and basically
figure out the motives.
Figure out the person with the most motive to have killed them via like arrows and other things.
Yeah, you use the tiles to declare motives, and then you have to read the motives, which is a lot of fun. And basically, the better motives you have, the more points you get. You go through multiple rounds of it, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. And it's a super fun game. That is definitely a really cool one. I didn't realize it was as obscure as that.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to say on Masterpiece Mystery Motive for Murder?
No.
My number 2 has 40 ratings on Board Game Geek. It is an amazingly fun, puzzly, abstract strategy game with some Tetris-shaped pieces. It is Flink. Flink is a game where you build 3-dimensional stacks of pieces as you try to work to connect both sides of the board. There are 2 different boards. There's a basic board, which is just, orthogonal pieces from side to side, or orthogonal spaces. And then there is the harder board, which has diagonal spaces where only the corners touch each side. And this game is a lot of fun. I love building the 3-dimensional stacks. I love trying to outmaneuver my opponent. You have to be very clever to outmaneuver your opponent, block them off while still allowing yourself to connect the 2 opposite sides of the board. And that is why I love Flink. It's a really great game.
I don't know if I ever played it.
I don't think you have played Flink. Or at least if you did, you maybe only tried it once or twice or something.
And now it is time for number 1.
My number 1 has 193 ratings.
My goodness. So well known.
It is another IP one. It is Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game.
Again, these official IP games not getting any ratings.
I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But it's a programming game where you're trying to pick up all the historical figures while avoiding the bad dudes.
I love how often you manage to get this game on one of your lists. This game apparently fits in every category for you.
Maybe I'm the reason it has 193. Because I put it on every list.
You put it on every list. This has been on a lot of your lists. I'm just saying, you managed to wedge it in there. Like
what?
Top 10 war games. Top 10 historical games.
Napoleon is in it. It's a war game. Genghis Khan is in it. It's a war game.
Okay. It's a programming game and a set collecting game. And it is actually very brain-burning. Especially for a game based on Bill and Ted, you wouldn't think it, but it's very brain-burning. Anything else you want to say on Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game? Very fun game. Very fun game. My number 1, and this was the surprise I was talking about, has a grand total of 1 rating on Board Game Geek. It is
the one rating you?
It is me. That's how obscure this game is. And it is a goddamned travesty that this game is not more well known, because this game is awesome. But it is self-published. It is out through the Game Crafter. We did a full review and tutorial for it. I love this game, and this game needs to be more widely known.
Is it the Ursa Prime one?
It is Launchland Expand Ursa Prime. See, there you go.
I was just trying to. Well, you said Game Crafter and that we reviewed it, so was.
I think this is the best game I have ever reviewed that was from a Game Crafter publishing. So this is a game that involves economics, it involves area control, it involves hand management, it involves stock purchasing and manipulation. It also involves racing around because your ships, as you're landing to try to land troops on the planet and take control of Ursa Prime, you have to orbit multiple times to work your way in to land, and there's like shenanigans that can happen in orbit where your opponents can knock your ships off course or even attack you while you're trying to come in.
Or there's like black holes to avoid.
Yeah, there's a black hole to avoid.
Asteroid fields. And
a wormhole to skip ahead. There's a lot going on. This is one of those games that has a little bit of everything, and it really does. It has engine building, it has, like I said, area control, economics. It has so much going on, and it is super enjoyable. And the whole thing of the orbit track is probably the most unique element, because I don't know of another game that has something quite similar to that. But it's super fun. It is a super enjoyable game, and it is ludicrously obscure and should not be.
It's almost like 2 games in one, because it's like a race game when you orbit, and then once you land, you have like troops and you're killing people.
And you forgot about the economics in the engine building, because you build the engine by collecting the technologies, and you do the economics by buying out stocks. You can do hostile takeovers because you're different rival companies fighting to control this planet. You can do hostile takeovers of the other people's companies. So it's almost like 4 games in one. Yeah, there's so much going on, but it all works really well together, and it's a really fun game.
It doesn't seem like it's like patchwork together.
No,
it's really seamless.
It's not forced at all. It feels it all meshes very well. Again, though, if you want to see more about it, we did a full review and tutorial of it, and spoiler alert, it's great. We loved it. We were very positive on it. But there you have it. These are our top 10 favorite obscure games. You know what? Obscure games need some more love. These are games that we think are great, and more people need to discover them. So if any of these games sounded cool, look to see if you can find a copy. Some of them are out of print, so you may need to
like go on eBay
and stuff,
or Etsy or something.
But in my opinion, all of these games need more attention, because these are really great games. Except for your flag game.
No.
I'm just kidding. But there you have it. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and comment down below. Let us know what your favorite obscure games are. And until next time, game on. Oh, are we having a puppy blooper? Oh my goodness. He's like, I just needed to tell you that I love you and give you kisses. That's what he said. Are we done? I love you too. I love you too. Yeah. Mwah. Oh, one more.